24/78, a STEM Journal special, is brought to you by Copperpoint.
The success is half the fun, but this team is really a family, and it's really, I don't know, it's really fun just to be around them. So it doesn't matter if we win or lose. Just getting there is half the fun. I'm amazed we won a regional. It's absolutely crazy for me to think about still. While we were in the matches and cheering as a team, and we were all in it, and our hearts were in it, and it was amazing, and it was just such an experience.
Robot! 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 Robot!
FIRST Robotics is a program that's meant to change culture. So every young person can name their favorite athlete, but not very many can name their favorite living scientist or engineer. So the purpose of FIRST is to change American culture and to make science and math and technology as cool as sports and music and movies are. And so to do that, the people at FIRST have turned robotics and science and engineering, technology and math into a sport. So every year we have 6 weeks to design, build, and program our robot to play in a game, which changes every year. This year the game is called Aerial Assist. We're playing with these large 2-foot diameter balls and launching them across the field, and different robots have to catch them. Each match is divided up into 2 alliances of 3 robots each, and we have to work together with our teammates in order to score points and advance the ball down the field. Then at the end we have to shoot it into a goal.
Day one is just like any other thing. I mean, it's kind of, the kids are in there and they have a veneer of high school on them, and they're all accepting kids, but they don't know anything. A few kids know more than others, but largely nobody knows how to build a robot. Had a tremendous outpouring of interest. We had over 60 students on the team last year. And we bring a lot of kids in who don't have any experience building anything, and I mean nothing ever. Okay. They're purely paper thinkers, would be the best way to put it. So the kids, we start out at the beginning of the year literally saying, this is a hammer. Here's how you hold a hammer. This is a drill. Here's how you hold a drill.
We had so many kids that at the very beginning of the year couldn't even work a drill. But then by the end of the 6-week build season, we could say, you know what, we need to mount this motor over here. Go fabricate a bracket. And those kids not only could work all of the hardware and the tools in order to make that happen, but they could dream up, well, what shape would I make so it would be self-supporting? And they were diagramming it out on the whiteboards and trying to make arguments and tying it to stuff that they've learned in physics and in the geometry behind it. And all of that was new to them.
I ordered that other wire and it was 24 gauge, 22 gauge. I said, oh my God, that's hard to work with. If you looked at the big picture, what we really would like to do is try and capture kids who are very young and say, you know, math and science has an application. Here's an application of this, and it's not boring, it's fun, it's cool. The competition's released the first Saturday in January, and it's released at the same time to everybody in the nation. So you watch a video, that's how it's released, and you're handed a rule book.
The day that we got the challenge, it was kind of exhilarating. We were excited, but we didn't really know where we were going to go. So there's kind of like a ominous we're like, oh, are we going to do well this year? You know, what's going to happen?
Everybody just immediately started coming up with random ideas, which was great. So we came back here, kind of feeding off all of that excitement, and had a really long meeting for our first day, where we, in this very room, laid out, these are the things that we think that we're going to need to do. Here are the 5 functions that can earn you points. Here are some benefits, drawbacks.
How do you think we'll make this work? And we did a priorities list. We had, you know, how do we get points? And then we rated, do we want to do that? And is it doable?
The robot is supposed to pick up a 2-foot diameter ball. It's supposed to be able to throw it around 6 feet or so, and it's also supposed to be able to catch a ball. And it has to be able to get through a field and throw and everything. So it has to be pretty fast, and it has to be pretty light.
The prototyping was kind of a fun stage at the beginning, especially with so many kids not knowing a whole lot. The biggest thing that we spent loads and loads of time prototyping at the beginning was actually our shooter.
We settled on a catapult idea, so we were building a prototype of a catapult out of wood, just so we could test how much we could throw the ball and how far and how much power we needed. Our prototype eventually started falling apart because we didn't build it too well, so we had to like kind of reinforce that. Sometimes it'd be shooting fine, and then sometimes we'd change one little thing and for some reason it'd stop working, and even if we changed it back, it'd be like not nearly as far.
We're teaching them that you're going to fail over and over and over. You're going to make 10 things that don't work before you stumble on the one thing that does work. We don't really teach them to design a robot as much as we teach them to work as a team and try and be good teammates. The robot kind of comes along as a byproduct of it. So we do teach skills, but a lot of it is just application of things they already know.
Most of the kids who were involved would feel comfortable just throwing an idea out to everybody else, even if they had a good hunch that at least a part of it would be shot down, because they got that this is not a place where you're going to be mocked for it, and they got that, you know, the goal isn't always to come up with the right answer right now.
Maybe you know, Joey's idea melded with Mary's idea come together, and we start talking about, well, how do these two work? Because these both have some really great creative solutions that independently don't seem to work, but as we put them together, they work better. So it's really a brainstorming exercise.
We eventually came up with this rectangular box system. The box would fall down, and then we had wheels at the front that would contact the ball and actually suck it in. But since it was a full frame, that thing took all kinds of hits and didn't break. It's not a classroom. There is loads and loads of learning going on, but it's much more real world, because obviously you're trying to complete something. You're trying to perform a task. So that's really our goal, is to teach the students to be leaders, to support them in becoming more self-sufficient, to give them the opportunity to be a member of a team and contribute and be invested in the team. And then those successes, the drama that we have from things going well, or the drama that you have when struggles and then you pull yourself back up. All of those things, all of those moments are sweeter whenever the students are really that invested in it.
We came up with a fairly elegant design because it was universal. It could shoot from a multiple different ranges. We try and make it simple and reliable. So this is really, really low-tech and elegant way to do this. So all we're going to do is we're going to put our encoder mount right here, right? And it's just going to be a friction fit. We'll just put a little bit of hot glue in there and push it in. And then all we're going to do is put a piece of Velcro around there. And literally the Velcro will hold this on, and the wire that comes up will hold it on.
I'm the assistant project manager. I help the project manager with the bill of materials, the weight, the budget, and scheduling. The robot has to weigh a certain amount, and it can't be too heavy, and so we have to make sure what we put on the robot doesn't weigh it down so that we can't compete. And the budget is how much money we're allowed to spend, and if we go over or we go under. And then scheduling, we schedule what days we do stuff, and we update the calendar. We
were in here doing something associated with the robot, whether it was building a crate to ship it or working on the robot itself, pretty much every Saturday. And then we would work 2 late nights a week till 9 or 10 o'clock. And then they'd work after school every day till 6:30 or 7.
At the beginning of the build season, I was working with the prototyping, trying to see what would work best for the catching mechanism and the throwing mechanism. And as we progressed through that, I kind of moved into like the actual construction of the robot, and that's really where I'm at right now, just helping with the construction.
Give me something to build, and I'd pretty much focused on that. Once the design was done, so I drilled holes, I put things together. I always knew that I wanted to do something in STEM. Math and science were always my favorite subjects. But I think through robotics, I really got a hands-on experience, obviously, something that I wouldn't have been able to get any other way. And it really solidified that I did want to do engineering.
I just think it's really cool how we get to see what we learn in classrooms apply to real life. And definitely as you get older, you get to see like how much these things influence our life and how we deal with math every day and physics every day. And I think that's something that a lot of kids could benefit from, especially the ones that don't enjoy those subjects. They could learn to appreciate it more.
I really enjoy building. I really like the creative aspect of robotics. I'm really a creative person, and engineering isn't really something that I would normally consider going into. I'm not a fan of math, but I really enjoy working with my hands and making something, and these robots kind of become my babies by the end of the season. We're building 2 robots and they should be exactly identical. We like to give them names so we can refer to them. It gets especially difficult when we have 2 different robots. So my personal favorite is Mary Kate and Ashley, but we also have Luke and Leia.
You come in, okay, what do we need to work on? We need to work on the drivetrain. Okay, let's get a group of people together and work on the drivetrain. And then you kind of became experts. So then, like every week, you'd have an expert on the solenoids, and you'd go, okay, how did you do this? Teach me how to do this.
I think the greatest thing that you can get out of robotics is getting that hands-on experience in engineering. What I like the most about robotics is that it's somewhere where you can work with others creatively and you get to solve these problems, and it's an amazing experience.
This is my first year. I joined because I thought it would be really fun, and it's turned out to be one of the greatest things I've done. It's just a really great experience. It teaches you so many things: teamwork, scheduling, organizing, how to build stuff, all fun tools. It's just really great to be around, great environment. We're really hoping that our robot that we build will be able to crush all competition that we have this year, and we can go to nationals and win the championship.
Bag and tag is the longest night of our season. So we build for 6 weeks, and that's all we get to design and manufacture and build in the whole process. And at the end of that 6 weeks, at midnight, we have to put our robot into a bag and seal the bag, and we don't get to touch the robot until our first competition. It's stressful, but I think we can manage. We're in a good place, and I believe in us.
The point of FIRST is to try and get kids excited to celebrate technology, to try and put that on the same level as like a sports performance. And if you go to the tournaments, that's how it's structured. That's why it is the way it is, the music and the fun.
It was kind of nerve-wracking. It was our first competition as a team, so we went there and we're like, we're gonna win. And we actually loved Arizona Regional because it was so spirited. And this, like Westwood, we're very spirited, and we just loved that. We already had chants, we had like pom-pom things, and we got there, and everyone else did too. So we were already ramped up on spirit. We didn't know if we were gonna win, obviously.
Yesterday, we started off with some issues with a trigger that we had to work, and we eventually replaced the trigger from our practice robot. Then we also ran into an issue with a tensioning motor that burnt out, and we replaced the tensioning motor. It was a bit of a rush, but it wasn't anything too bad. We go out to the court, and then we realized that we, in the process of replacing the tensioning motor, broke a wire, which again left us in a bad spot. So whenever we replaced that wire and everything, we were actually able to perform to our full capabilities.
So what they're doing down there is they're trying to lower our bumpers a bit. We've discovered that the balls here are inflated more than what we've planned on, so it jams our pickup a little bit. So what we're trying to do now, we've got a little extra room. We're going to drop our bumpers down. So what they're doing is moving the mount points down on the bumpers, or actually up if you want to call it that, so that way then the bumpers sit lower on the robot. The ball will be able to roll over them easier as it comes through our pickup. That's the unit on the back side back there with the wheels across the top. So the idea is we pull the ball in, and if the bumpers are too high, it blocks the ball from coming in. So we've been struggling a little bit picking up the ball today. And today's really important just because you work on your standings today. So we're, I think, Last time I looked, we were like 15th place, I don't know, somewhere around in there. And you've got to stay in the top 20 if you want to have any hope of making it into the finals tomorrow.
Well, we just got eliminated from the tournament. So we made it to the quarterfinals with an awesome alliance. All day yesterday and today, we were fluctuating up and down in the matches with our scores. We won some, we lost some, you know, sometimes you get lucky. And we had a lot of problems with our robot, different technical issues. Some stuff broke. We goofed up our code at one point, and then we had a broken wire that we didn't identify for like 3 matches. When we finally found it, it fixed it, and our robot worked like a champ. They beat us in the match, but we're not gonna let that bring our spirits down. We have one more regional at Vegas after this, so right now we're preparing our robot to leave and packing up. I'm very happy with how this regional has gone.
For a first-year team, predominantly first-year team, it went extraordinarily well. Kids had good spirit, had a lot of fun. They did well. They didn't do great. They were in the top 12, which is, I mean, that's nothing to scoff at, top 12 or 13. So they did well. There were some problems with the robot. There were some software issues, a few things that didn't work exactly the way that they wanted. And we said, well, we can solve this stuff, and they did later. The team was very cohesive, and you can see that in the stands when you look at the kids in the stands. And we had a huge crowd out there. So that portion of it is very, very well developed. The engineering skills had come along a long way. They're still high school students.
That was a little bit tough for us, but the emotions at that regional were unlike any of the others that we had. The excitement of the students, because it was all of our first time. None of us had any idea of, or very few of us had any idea of what to expect. That between matches, students would run down the bleachers to try and check and see what's going on next. The students who were working in scouting, who in some cases were sitting on the bleachers all day, writing down obscure numbers and coding how other teams were doing, were just passionate and excited because this was totally new. And it was something that we'd never done before. Even though we didn't have as much success as we would like, the emotions were just intense there. I have a feeling that first regional that we did not perform well in is always going to be one that comes back to me and sticks out as something that was just very special.
We didn't win Arizona, which we were kind of like, you know, it happens, but we got to Las Vegas and it was like, Las Vegas, you know, it was a big bus ride. We wanted to do well. We were kind of surprised that Las Vegas wasn't as spirited, but it was more competitive. So we were like, oh, we need to, you know, get our heads in the game.
It was a great experience because there's a lot of really good teams from California there. The competition's a little tougher, not a little, it's a lot tougher than it was in the Arizona Regional. Much more aggressive driving, much harder hitting.
Mr. Saxon's favorite phrase is "don't worry about it." And that's just kind of, I tease him a lot for that because it's when you're in the thick of it, it's just such like a stressful moment and you're like, I can't not worry about this, I'm close to tears. And he's just standing there cool as a cucumber. Don't worry about it, it'll be fine. It'll be taken care of. We'll get on the field, don't worry about it, we'll win. And you're like, no, you don't have a guarantee.
Robots hold up great. We broke a couple welds on the first day of competition. It's really hard hitting out here, but the kids have a great solid design and it's well made. So overall, the robot's performing nicely, exactly what we expect, and the kids are performing super.
I was on the drive team, so it was like a lot of pressure on us to make sure everything goes well. It goes kind of fast, so like we would get done with one match and it would be like trying to fix something on our way to our next match. So as we're moving, we're trying to fix stuff and change batteries and such. So it's a little like craziness, but it was really fun.
We're doing pretty good. We had 2 wins. Pretty good. It's pretty good. We had 2 wins and a loss during the elimination matches, or during the qualification matches for today. We were selected for eliminations by the first seeded alliance, which is Team Warlords, which that's where I got this from, and High Rollers, a local Vegas team. Currently, we just finished our semi-final match, and now we're going into the finals up against Team number 2. All right.
That last match was very suspenseful and exciting, and when they realized they won it, they went nuts.
People almost got hit in the head because we threw our hands up and threw our pom-poms everywhere, and we're just so excited. You can't even imagine all the work that we'd put in, and then to see it all pay off, like, it was awesome.
It was like, we did it. We actually got that far. It's really cool.
Yeah, I think it was crazy that we won the Las Vegas Regional because we weren't expecting it at all.
And it was just so much fun, just the energy and the spirit that we had this year, and winning a regional. I mean, I couldn't have asked for a better season.
When something that you dream of happening actually does happen, and you're not expecting it, and you're not really used to that, it's a bit of a shock. I think probably the neatest moment for me was when our team was down on the field and was taking a picture on the field with their medallions and with the trophies, and I was standing back kind of watching the pictures being taken, and just the look of pride that they had on their faces for all of this huge work that they did, and to really be the underdogs that they were, to come through and really nail it. That I think was the more impressive moment to me. On the long bus drive home, we had a chat about plans for next year. And the kids really talked about a lot of the stuff at the conferences that they saw at the World Championship, and talked about things that they really want to see become a vision for this team, which was a change in tone. Before that point, we were building robots. We were learning things about building robots, and we wanted to get kids excited. That was kind of our vision. After this conference, starting and coming from the kids, there is a vision of trying to get other people a sense of what they now know, which they seem to hold as a greater calling, which it is. And I think especially at a school like Westwood, especially at a low-income area like this one, where for the most part, you know, research shows your education is the decider of where you go. Something like this can instill a passion. And passion is the thing that's most important. And you know, if we can get some more kids passionate about education, about engineering, about anything, about applying themselves, it's going to create just a huge change.
1, 2, 3, success! Robotics was huge in allowing me to pick my career path. I decided from robotics that I wanted to do electrical engineering, and robotics actually exposed me to the first computer science that I had. Sorry, that wood fell. Robotics exposed me to the first computer science I had ever been involved with also.
When I was younger, I knew I liked math and science, and my parents were always telling me that engineering is a good option, and I was kind of like, yeah, but I wasn't sure if that's what I wanted to do. And through this experience, it just furthered my interest, and so now I'm not quite sure if I want to do engineering, but I know I want to do something science-related or math-related.
When we went to nationals, my friend and I went button hunting. So that's when you just, I don't know, every team makes little buttons, so you just go pick them up from different teams and you go talk a little bit, and it's fun. You get to make new friends. So we went to the first team, and they started talking to, you know, where are you from? We're from Arizona, we're from Minnesota, whatever. And they had discussed they had been discussing whether to come down for an Arizona regional or the Las Vegas regional, which was the regional we won. And it was amazing to me because they started talking about how difficult the Las Vegas regional was and how the competition was so tough, and especially this year. And I was like, we won that regional. Did you know that? Oh my gosh.
24/78, a STEM Journal special has been brought to you by Copperpoint.